When ghoulish gourmand Hannibal Lecter was created by acclaimed novelist Thomas Harris, he caused audiences the world over to take pause and question the limits of fine dining. With celebrated adaptations in both film and on TV, Hannibal Lecter's penchant for preparing dishes where the main course is often his fellow man made him a horror movie villain that was certainly not for the squeamish. And while you definitely wouldn't want to partake in any of Dr. Lecter's evil entrees, I think we can all agree that the true threat comes not from the grody cuisine, but from the chef himself. However, horror has a long history of stories where it is the meal itself that is murderous. Greetings and welcome to the History of Fright. I'm your host, Michael Verratti. This week, I've prepared you a Thanksgiving feast. But be careful, this food bites back. In horror's long history, the consumption of human flesh has oft served as a trope meant to terrorize and frighten, speaking to our most primal and ancient instincts of surviving in a wilderness rife with predators wanting to eat us, as the idea of eating our own is gutturally horrific and plays out like the ultimate betrayal of our innate humanity. That's why, beyond cannibals, vampires, zombies, and other horror monsters tend to carry this trait of consumption of flesh or blood, as it takes away our identity and reduces us to prey. And really, that's true horror at its basest of levels. And yet, for the long history of genre stories about people being stalked by monsters looking for a midnight snack, there's an equally curious trend that runs parallel with the rise of the era of sensationalist cinema, terror tales where it is the food itself that is the enemy. That's right. As suggested, there's been a long, if not fairly recent, history of fright flicks and stories about sentient food items that have had enough of being eaten and decide to turn the tables. From killer donuts to alien yogurt cups, there's been a strange swath of terror tales all about snacks looking to slaughter. Unlike prior installments of History of Fright, this unique trend doesn't have a deeply rooted genesis in the world of horror, but can most directly be related to the drive-in era of marquee one-upsmanship. Throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s, a new school of filmmakers attempting to push the genre into bold new directions were constantly trying to come up with fresh ideas to shock, titillate, and draw in audiences. From the gimmick-laden techniques of William Castle to the unapologetic underground gore of Herschel Gordon Lewis, the lay of the land was clear. The more outrageous, the better. More so, it was frequently the mode of things to take ideas that had been successful and expound on them in bigger, stranger, and more outrageous ways. From the animal attack formula of Hitchcock's The Birds, imitators like Day of the Animals, Piranha, and Night of the Lepus, about killer bunnies. No, I'm not kidding.
He's got huge, sharp... he can leap about... Look at the bones!
The formula of humans besieged by throngs of wilderness creatures became a time-honored and oft-exhausted trope. From this world of cinematic one-upsmanship and creative reinvention, John DeBello, a filmmaker from San Diego, decided to lampoon these popular animal attack movies, all the while getting himself some marquee value of his own. Thus, in 1978, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes was born. A blatant satire of movies like The Birds, Killer Tomatoes parodied the notion of animal attack films by having tomatoes rise up from the produce section and wreak havoc on mankind. Though intended as a lark, The Killer Tomatoes proved to be an instant hit with audiences who recognized the inherent silliness of the concept. A popular animated series and 3 cinematic sequels would follow, including one where the Killer Tomatoes traveled to France. The idea of food fighting back not only turned out to be solid midnight movie fare, but helped launch a new subgenre. In the wake of Killer Tomatoes, other food-oriented horror flicks came into the zeitgeist, including celebrated grindhouse filmmaker Larry Cohen's 1985 masterpiece, The Stuff, all about sentient yogurt that starts devouring people from within. Other movies, like the Ginger Dead Man series about a killer holiday cookie, and 2016's Attack of the Killer Donuts, continued the trend of tasty treats taking back the night. Even this year's Goosebumps 2 saw gummy bears getting in on the action, turning wicked and trying to take a bite out of kids on Halloween. So, why the fascination with food run amok? The simplest answer is that it's fun. Horror is a genre about heightened presentation, and by taking even the most base items in our lives and giving them a sense of menace, we're able to take our imaginations to strange new places. That is not to say the fascination with food and tales of terror doesn't have merit. From Snow White's poisoned apple to the lure of a house made of candy in Hansel and Gretel, there's something positively terrifying about taking something we need to survive and using it as a mechanism against us. What's more, there's even a scientific foundation for this fear: cybophobia, or the fear of food. A densely complex phobia, many people who suffer from this affliction are mistakenly believed to have eating disorders, when in fact they aren't eating food because they fear it means to cause them harm. And if Killer Tomatoes have taught us anything, maybe they're right. So, as you settle in for your Thanksgiving dinner, think of our little celebratory feast here today, and remember, there's really no limit to what you can eat or what can eat you. Hey, thanks for watching History of Fright. We will be back next week with some more spooky facts. For more horror, check out our friends at Dread Central, and don't forget to follow Gamma Ray across the web.